My drawing practice has been with me for a very, very, very long time, but I don't really start with drawing necessarily. I really start in reading and in text. I am working on 60-inch square pieces of paper. They're mixed media, right? And the larger format, I feel like it's performative, so that my body actions the drawing is the record of that. Okay. Now, of course, that is how that's when I look at all art. I often always think about, become aware, not every time, but when I become aware that I'm standing at the distance that the artist stood in the making of the thing, it's very empowering. When I'm thinking about, so of course it's called triangle, but really the triangle, in terms of a text, it's the 47th proposition in Book 1 of Euclid's geometry book. So the math that I practice, which is one of the things that I know that you're seeing in the work, comes from ratios and proportions. It's very much embedded, or the diagrams are embedded in the architectural diagrammatic drawing. And what's interesting to me about architectural diagrammatic drawing is it is a set of directions, right? It is an abstract set of directions. A line art, or these abstract, simple shapes to scale on a piece of paper eventually turns into a building, right? Imagine how that happens, and how many people, skill sets are involved, and how many people have to imagine what this drawing is directing them to do. But you could certainly, an architect isn't in the ear of every single construction worker or surveyor or plumber and electrician, you know what I mean? It's fascinating. And then the other portion of it is early modernist, constructivist aesthetics, and the elemental, the reduction down of ideas and form. And in this case, in Russia, right, it would have been for the illiterate serfs who had just been liberated from the Tsar. And Axmaner realized, wow, these patterns I'm observing, I can turn them into models, and therefore they become, I can't make a model of the full universe, but I can make an amilari, right, a model of what I understand the patterns of the planets and the stars and the Earth to be. And then all of a sudden we have this, I can share it, right? So it's easier to share the pattern I'm seeing, right, in this model. And it's really quite beautiful, and it's considered to be the origins of the first architectural thinking. And Wittgenstein would tell you that it's a toolbox, right? The elements and principles of language, right, are sounds and abstract shape or symbolic shapes that get arranged as sounds and as sounds joined together. And then those sounds get translated into some, alphabet, which are just completely abstract symbols. And that through practice, we pick up on the pattern of how to use it, how to use the toolbox of language. Fundamentally, what is American Sign Language? Think about, well, what is fundamentally the toolbox of American Sign Language, and then where it intersects the language abstractions, and ultimately it is a received sense of elemental actions, okay, using the body in this case, right, and how it's expressed that communicates a state of point of view, and that it requires at least two people to understand the pattern. So interesting. And because in essence, in terms of our modeling, right, so instead of, a sphere of the planets, right, now this phone models our consciousness. It's a wonderful tool, but it is not my identity, and it is not human contact. Definitely the opportunities to practice communication in addition to oral and written communication in a tablet has barely been touched.